All right, let's talk motive power. This is my 040 switcher. It's a 1656 switcher. I replaced the front coupler and I replaced all the lights on it, did some rewiring. I did have to replace the motor on it too. It didn't work. And then I repainted it, but I didn't re-letter it. I kind of wish I had the 060 pre-war. I have seen other people take a 1656 and swap it with the 6-driver things. And I'm sort of partial to wanting to do that. So maybe one day. It's not an absolute I must have. It's just one of those things like, well, if I could, I could. If I can, I can. All right, next up is my 262 Prairie. Pick this up, another one of those, I didn't know if it worked or not. Again, I can fix it. I believe I replaced the smoke unit in it, and of course I've always replaced all my E units. This is the original tender. I didn't have to replace the shell on this, it was fine. And all I've really done is just re-letter it and repaint it. I need to look at the E unit because it's acting up. I don't know if it's dust or what, but I need to pop that off and take a look at it. But this is my 262 Prairie. I do kind of have it in the back of my mind to buy another 262 and swap out the 2 drivers for a two pilot truck for a 4-wheel pilot truck to make a true Pacific locomotive. But that's kind of a, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's just one of those kind of things I have on the radar, like I kind of like to do. All right, so here is my 464 Hudson. Now this one I didn't have to do any restoration work. I bought it from Trains with a Z, off their eBay store and everything. And the smoke unit runs and everything. Although I've been running it for 2 years, I probably need to take it apart and do a cleaning on it. On the inside, I know it's kind of acting up a little bit. I did replace the shell, the tender shell, because the screws were all shot, which is a common problem with the tender shells. The plastic that holds the screws in place to break off and everything. And I put handrails on the tender. So this is my Hudson locomotive. And here is my Berkshire locomotive, 284. I did replace the tender shell on it and put the handrails on it and everything. This one wasn't in too bad a condition, but I still took it apart, cleaned it up, replaced the smoke unit, replaced the E unit, cleaned it, repainted it the way I wanted it. Of course, I updated the tender and everything. It runs great. I run it a lot. My wife actually really wanted the Polar Express, but after we got to looking, when I showed her the prices of the Polar Express set, I was like, it's just easier to just buy a Berkshire post-war and get some Polar Express passenger car, or just get some other passenger cars. Really, all she wanted was passenger coaches that lighted up. So I'll talk about that later in a little bit. This is my Berkshire. All right, now here's a one of a kind. This is a 484 Hudson post-war, which Lionel never made unless you're going for the Norfolk and Western 611, the J. That's the only 484 Northern they made. The 746, I believe, is what the cab number was. So I bought this 736 Berkshire locomotive that looked like it had been just kept in a bucket of water. It was just covered in rust, the whole thing. So I disassembled this entire thing, cleaned it, everything. Everything had to be just scrubbed down, bare metal. I replaced, I did get the whistles on it, clean that up, but I had to replace the bell. Of course, the smoke box front is different. That goes to a different locomotive, but I wanted the feed water heater on there for a different look. I had to replace all the handrails. Of course, the tender was shot, so I replaced the shell and put the handrails on that. But you can see I took a 4-wheel pilot truck from a Hudson locomotive, and then I drilled in the hole and everything and mounted a screw so that I could have a Northern that didn't look streamlined. Now, you can't do this with every 736. You have to be certain to buy the 736 that has the pickups. You can see the pickups are short on this locomotive. On my other Berkshire, the 736, the pickups are longer. The electrical pickup is actually close to the front of the front driver. So the only way that I could make this a Northern and have a place to attach a screw is using the short pickup on the middle rail. But it works great. Replace the smoke unit and all that. Probably already said that. But this is my Northern locomotive, and definitely awesome and one of a kind. Unless you one of them Bob Gale classics, you run across that. I think he built Northerns. But this is mine. And that is my steam locomotive fleet. Now, I do have a Santa Fe post-war set. I've got an A, B, and A diesel set. One A unit is got the dual engines powered in it, and the other two are dummies. The B unit dummy, A unit dummy, and I have 8 of the aluminum passenger coaches that go with it. I know it came with 4, I believe, originally, but I have 8. I have a baggage coach, and I have a few of just smooth top coaches, 2 domes, and then the observation coach. I wanted a train that was like a real length train. I like to run. I don't like running these little toy 4 or 5 length car trains. So that is just kind of what I've got for my motive power, and I don't really foresee having some massive collection of motor power. I mean, my layout's kind of this little short line railroad that connects between some city and goes through the mountains. It's not even a real place. It's just what I like. What I do plan on getting more of is definitely more freight. I am very limited on freight cars, so I do need to start collecting some more freight cars. So that is that.